Grand Prix qualifying session, which will take place in a bit. Of course, we're going to be covering other Formula events. We've got the Formula 2 Sprint, which is starting up just very soon. Of course, qualifying starts in just 2 hours and 15 minutes. You can see the timer just right below me. Be sure to stick around, subscribe to the channel, like the video. Please hit that like button right now. The more likes we get before the qualifying starts, the more people we're going to have on the stream. And if we've got more people in the stream, more people we can interact with. Of course, that's the best thing possible. Be sure to also go and look in the description of the video. You can find out how you can watch all of the Grand Prix footage and qualifying footage live alongside us for free utilizing ExpressVPN. Just go and look at the description in the video and you can follow all of that information. Very easy. So be sure to go and comment, activate, go and apply yourself rather to the polls that we're going to post up here. Of course, I will be back with a couple of other pundits, I'm sure, later for the actual qualifying session. But for now, enjoy the F2 sprint race. And of course, I will be back later. So be sure to stick around for qualifying. Cheers, guys. to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. We are waiting for the first qualifying session of the 2023 season. Very keen to see what happens as we get close to the first race of the season as well. Of course, coming from practice session 3, Alonso yet again topping the timing charts with a 1 minute 32.34 ahead of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Lots of talking points, of course, to go over from the previous session. But nonetheless, Reese, how excited are you for the first qualifying session of the season?
Yes, I'm very excited. It looks like we have a three-way race for that pole today, possibly between possibly between Red Bull, Aston Martin, and uh, Ferrari. That's for sure.
Yes, and I'm also quite keen to see how Mercedes do as a result of their practice 3. Wasn't too bad. They showed a bit more pace there, right up with the other teams there. So really hoping we're going to have a very, very contestable qualifying session that's going to get going in just 20 minutes. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel as well. And also, if you guys are wanting to try and watch the race or the qualifying, be sure to go and see the description. Like the video as well. We'd really appreciate a like. Yeah, just ask us some questions in the comments section. We'll be very keen to answer all of them. Of course, we'd like to thank Asakan for coming to the FS Members Club. You guys can also join, and you can get very, very cool benefits that will allow you to enjoy sport even more with all of us.
Yes, obviously great to have all of you watching alongside us. Definitely want to hear your comments and your opinions on qualifying in the next 20 minutes. Who do you think will be on the top of that timesheet?
And yeah, of course, interesting thing to note from practice 3 was the fact that Verstappen and Perez originally finished their fast laps in the first half of that session on hard tires. And Verstappen was just 0.58 seconds off of Alonso's quick time in a hard tire versus Alonso's soft tire. So really, really showing great pace there, Red Bull, on a hard tire. So they might well actually try and use a hard tire in qualifying session 1, which we're very keen to see whether or not they do try out.
Yes, for sure. It would be very interesting to see if they do try that out. Obviously, that would give them quite a good competitive edge. On Sunday, they would have an extra set of soft tires. Whether they can be fast enough on those hard tires, that is what will need to be seen. They may test it out in the early part of Q1. If they are not fast enough, then they will go out on a set of softs.
So I've just listened to an interview here of Lewis Hamilton basically saying, yeah, we found out we're a long way off. So he's not quite as chuffed as he would like to be with regards to that car. And yeah, we're very intrigued to see whether Mercedes are indeed a little bit off the pace, or if they've actually managed to catch it up. And then maybe they're just not telling everybody that they are indeed.
Well, let's still take everything that they say with a slight pinch of salt. Let's see if they actually do fall within the bunch, or if they fight for that top step in qualifying this evening.
So here, just see that we are having a couple of chats with a few more people on the ground there in Bahrain in qualifying. Here, see that we've got Ferrari involved in this little interview here, so very keen to see what they're going to say about qualifying today. Of course, do you foresee Charles Leclerc maybe actually competing a little more for in this qualifying now that we're about to see?
I think we'll have to wait and see. It's so difficult to tell. I mean, Ferrari looking great this weekend, looking great in testing as well. Who knows if they have a couple tenths still up their sleeve? That is what we will have to wait and see now for qualifying.
So yes, just going back to practice session 3 there, you know, we talked about Lance Stroll, of course, managing to handle his hand a lot better, and then also basically saying on the radio, you've hit those turns 1 and 2 a lot better than they have done recently. So, you know, basically just referring to the fact that yesterday Lance Stroll, of course, had to release that steering wheel when he was going around the first corner on one of his laps. So he seemingly seems a bit more fit with regards to his hand, and hopefully that is going to be a telltale for this afternoon. Hopefully he should get some quick times, and I want to see both Martins in that final qualifying really challenging for podiums in terms of on the grid for tomorrow.
Yes, that would be ideal to have them also in that fight. Obviously, we want as many teams as possible in the fight for the top 3 steps. It just makes it so interesting for us as fans.
So yeah, be sure to go and comment in the script, well, in the chat section, of course. We are going to be answering any and all questions that you guys might have. Be sure to go and subscribe to the channel and go and look at the Discord as well. We'll give a Discord link now, and you can guys join the Discord as well, where you discuss Formula One throughout the week, and you can just discuss with all Formula One fans all of the various stats and otherwise information and news that you guys see. And be sure to subscribe to the channel, as I say, because we will be sharing news during the week. We've got a live show every week. We've got previews to the Grand Prix and other information. So it is very much a Formula One content-filled channel. So be sure to get yourselves involved. And of course, if you subscribe, you can go and comment. So be sure to try and do that.
Yes, 15 minutes left until the start of qualifying. Obviously, the tension starting to ramp up now. Definitely getting very excited for the start of Q1.
So now just listening to Carlos Sainz basically talking about his racing career and how he's advanced through for Ferrari, of course. Basically just saying, taking every race as it goes, from that first qualifying session that you have, and then you come to the season now where you've been doing this so many times, you just get more and more used to it, and becomes just more of a keep it going as you go. But I had so many nerves when he first started out, so hopefully he's controlling those. And I'm really keen to see what Carlos Sainz can do this season. Of course, he really did push Charles Leclerc last season, and fought a little bit within the team to make himself a bit more of the main driver sometimes. So yeah, Carlos Sainz, big season for him ahead, of course, and going into this qualifying session, let's really see how much he can push Charles Leclerc in terms of those times.
Yes, for sure. A very big season ahead of Carlos Sainz. He has to prove himself within Ferrari, basically, to make sure that they keep him on in the future. Obviously, he's been performing quite well, having a few standout races last year, like where he won. Can't remember off the top of my head which track he won last year, but also having quite a few bad races where he just completely lost it, went into the gravel, made some mistakes that cost him the race.
Exactly, as I say. Sorry, yeah.
Yes, so I think if he is on top of his game this year, he could certainly bring the fight to Charles Leclerc, that is for sure.
Yes, and I think there are so many Ferrari fans who were so enthused by how Ferrari did last season, well, in the beginning at least, and then just left disappointed in the fact that they just kept dropping off further and further away from Red Bull's time. So let's hope that they can obviously improve this season, and it's so crucial that they get a good start with this qualifying section coming up in just about 13 minutes' time. Really not too long to go now, and very intrigued to see the true pace of all these cars. We finally really get to see how quick all these cars are. They're going to be going hell for leather around the track. And of course, me as a Red Bull fan, I'm going to be very intrigued to see what Red Bull do with Max Verstappen and Checo. And yeah, also very intrigued to see what Aston Martin can do in this session as well.
Of course, for Ferrari, not only being a big qualifying session for their drivers, but also for their new team boss, Frederic Vasseur, obviously moving from Alfa Romeo to Ferrari, replacing Mattia Binotto for 2023. Definitely a lot of pressure on his shoulders to make sure that this team performs in a way that is doing justice to that Ferrari name.
Yes, and yeah, just having a look right now, we are basically just looking at Ferrari as a whole. And yeah, Ferrari it's so crucial, as you say, they do under the new team principle, and hopefully with an improved car. It's so crucial that they get more things right than wrong. Of course, from the very beginning here, they need reliability to be on their side. They need their drivers to be concentrated the whole time. And more to the point, the biggest issue I think with Ferrari last season was their strategy, or lack thereof. Their strategies were terrible. So if they can just get their strategy right, I think Ferrari could really challenge right near the top.
Yes, for sure. I think that Ferrari definitely know that they need to bring their A game this year. They need to make up for their downfalls last year. They need to make sure that they have some more experienced people, some more maybe some experimental ways they're coming at some of those strategies, not taking those risks though that they did last year.
So just about 10 minutes, 11 minutes until qualifying starts, as you can see over there, and we're very keen to see how it will all fare when we get going. And yeah, we will, of course, be with you throughout that entire thing. And be sure to ask us any questions and tell us where you're watching from. And if you guys are desperate to watch the race and the qualifying sessions live, just go and ask us, tell us rather. Sorry, I'm just all over the place. Just go and look in the description of the channel to go and see how you can watch it all live. And yeah, also tell us where you're watching from in the comments. We're very keen to know where you guys are viewing us all from.
Yes, obviously we've had some people coming from all over the world over this race weekend so far, as far as Texas in the USA, Switzerland, France, India. It's great to have so many people watching us from all over the world, and we certainly hope that you guys do subscribe so that we can reach you for further videos, for more live sessions that we are doing for the race tomorrow, as well as throughout the rest of the season. So now 10 minutes left to go until the session starts in Bahrain. Certainly very exciting now.
Just looking at the track right now, it's right in dusk, of course, in Bahrain and in Sakir. So very keen to see the times obviously improve from the earlier session. We should hopefully see some sub 131s and maybe even a sub 130, depending on how quick teams could try and get around the track. And I think we'll all be watching Red Bull to see whether or not they can get a sub 130 on this track, which would, of course, be an insane time. But yesterday, the quickest times we saw was just the sub 131. We've got a 130.9 from Alonso. So can we see some low 130s and perhaps even a sub 130? That is, of course, all we're going to find out as the qualifying session gets underway. As you can see now, we've just changed screens here so you can see the qualifying times and follow along with us, of course. So very keen to see what happens there as well.
Yes, just looking at some visuals of the track, just showing us all the different corners, this track being just so technical as well as fast. You've got 3 very long straights, 2 of which being DRS zones. Obviously, 3 of which being DRS zones of 4 straights. But yes, just very fast track, very undulating. Some very tricky braking zones, especially that of turns 9 and 10, the double left-hander. Yes, I mean, we played this game, well, the Formula One game earlier this week in a live stream, and some people definitely finding it very tricky around.
And of course, one of the difficult things in the circuit for drivers to put up with, of course, during the day, not so much in the evening, as they'll find out now, is the heat, which I'm really feeling right now. It's very hot in my room where I'm watching from, and I'm sure that's exactly how the drivers feel inside their cars. The heat that the cars obviously get up to, and what the drivers feel, they just come out drenched in sweat because it's so hot in those vehicles. So you really do have to always take your hat off to these drivers for the sort of conditions they're putting themselves in for these races. And of course, going into qualifying now, it's not too harsh on them now, but yeah, we will certainly hopefully see some good and interesting qualifying times from all of the teams. Very intrigued to see how all of the smaller teams fare in terms of getting into the next qualifying session, if they can get into session 2 or Q2 as we know it. So, quad drivers, if you had to predict the bottom 5 drivers to drop out, might be about dropping out of the top 15.
That's going to be quite difficult. If we look from possibly FP3, maybe the likes of Logan Sargent, possibly also Yuki Tsunoda. It's so difficult to tell. It's just been moving around so much throughout the weekend. It's quite difficult.
Yeah, I mean, if I have to try and predict a bottom 5, I think I'm going to have to go with De Vries and Snowden, those Alpha tires, they just look a bit slow at the same time. The Williams, the Sargent and Album, I reckon, won't make that next Q2. And then, of course, so that's both Williams and both AlphaTauri. And I think maybe perhaps it might be a Alfa Romeo that also drops out. So I reckon those will be the 5 drivers that drop out. Will be either Bottas or Zhou, and the 2 Williams and the 2 AlphaTauris that will probably drop out of the first qualifying session. But nonetheless, of course, we've got to let these drivers drive around as we do look at the the circuit in Bahrain secure, and it really is looking absolutely beautiful at night. See the track all very well lit, and lots of people in the stadium to watch qualifying. It really is all set for a great session to get going in just over 5 minutes time.
Yes, very, very exciting now. Just under 5 minutes to go till the start of qualifying here in Sakir for the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Asakan, they're saying hi. I'm saying hi back. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you here. Any questions? Where are you joining us from, Asakan? Love to know where on earth you're watching from. Literally, where on earth. Do ask us some questions. And that goes for everybody, of course. Let us know where you're watching from. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. And if you guys are desperate to watch, again, if you look in the description of the if you want to look in the description of the channel video, you will find how you can watch this live alongside us as well. Very close to the start of qualifying now, and we're building up a little bit of an audience, and hopefully you guys will stay. And I'm very keen to have you all, of course, ask questions. Please, I'm begging you to ask questions. We'd love to just answer some questions as well, and hopefully take my mind off this heat, which is killing me right now. Nonetheless, very keen to have you all with us. Have a few more people joining us in the stream. Again, if you guys are wanting to watch it live, check the description of the video, and of course, join the members club as well, guys. We've got some very exclusive benefits for you there as well. Just chat with us in the chat box. Of course, we will try and chat with you guys all throughout the entire qualifying session, and let us know your thoughts of what is happening as we see it all unfold in front of us.
Yes, now just being shown the aerial view of the track. 5.4 kilometers is this track. The top speed is expected to be around 327.9 kilometers an hour. 15 turns with an elevation of 16.8 meters throughout the circuit. Obviously, we have a choice of medium, hard, and soft tires out here today using the C1, C2, and the C3 compounds, the harder of the 6 compounds that are available to us. Obviously, going from C0 being the hardest to C5 being the softest. Air temperature currently out here in Bahrain being 24 degrees Celsius with track temperature of 29 degrees. This is the best temperatures for qualifying lap because the track temperature is nice and low. The tires are performing within their optimum range, and you are just able to get such a banging lap out.
And we see the crowd building very nicely in the stands here as well. We can also see a lot of orange caps, a lot of orange in that Bahrain circle there. I think most of that is actually from Max Verstappen, not from McLaren. It's the Orange Army of the Netherlands, of course, who are there in their numbers to support Max Verstappen in his first race of the season. Of course, going for 3 Drivers' Championships in a row. And it really is a very nicely built crowd here in Bahrain. And all of the drivers are in their cars. They're getting ready for qualifying, which is going to get going in just over 2 minutes. We're finally going to get some good qualifying laps, finally get a good understanding of the pace of these cars. And we're so keen, of course, to see all of these vehicles go out and really go hell for leather, pedal to the metal. And Alonso is one to watch. Max Verstappen, of course, as well. Charles Leclerc, Sergio Perez, Hamilton, Russell, and Lance Stroll, and Carlos Sainz, of course. Those are the ones we're all watching out for. Those we reckon will be the top 8. After that, we're thinking Alpine will be there with a shout as well. Alpine is a dark horse for me, and keen to see if Ocon or Gasly can put themselves ahead of some of those top 4 teams based off of what we've seen in preseason testing and in the practice sessions up to now. So really keen to see what Aston Martin can do. We are so close to the start of qualifying, just 1 minute, and we will talk you through it all. You guys can, of course, be sure to ask us questions. Tell us where you're watching from. I am in South Africa. If you guys know where that country is, be sure to let me know in the comments as well. I'm sure we've got a few South Africans here as well. If my fellow Saffers are here, be sure to say so as well. But if you're not South African, tell me where you're from. If you're Australian, if you're an American, if you're a Brit, tell us where you're watching from. I'm very keen to know where all of you guys are from. Remains with regards to the start of qualifying, primed and ready to go out and do some quick laps on this Saturday evening in Bahrain. So yeah, as I say, one of the possible strategies that we might actually see from some of these big teams is they might well go and attempt to do the first qualifying set to put some really good lap times in hard tires in those practice sessions earlier. So we'll see whether or not they'll try and do that now. But we do see the 2 Alpha Tauris of Yuki Tsunoda and De Vries lined and ready, and qualifying 1 has begun. We have begun qualifying. The green light is out, and the 2 Alpha Tauris start qualifying for the Bahrain Grand Prix 2023.
Yes, let's finally see all of those gloves being taken off. Let's finally see the true potential of all of these cars out on circuit. Who do you think is going to throw a bit of a spanner in the works today, Mark?
I think, funny enough, I actually reckon the only person I think that could be a very odd name that will find themselves a lot higher than some people might reckon is Ocon. I reckon Ocon is a dark horse. I think he raced really, really well last season, and he's in quite a powerful car. And strange things happen, and I reckon that Ocon could push a couple of surprising names out of these qualifying sessions in a couple of them. So very keen to see what Ocon can do. But of course, we're all watching Fernando Alonso with bated breath to see whether or not he can try and challenge for that pole position for the Grand Prix tomorrow.
Yes, for sure. There's definitely a lot of people with Fernando Alonso in their minds today. Obviously, today being the 22nd year anniversary of Fernando making his debut in Formula One in 2001 at the Australian Grand Prix racing for Minardi. Obviously amazing to have him still in the sport at the age of 41 years old young. Obviously, hopefully still a long time for him in Formula One, just showing still how competitive he is.
And Carlos Sainz are also out earlier, and so is Nico Hulkenberg. So those are the 5 cars out on track so far. Now see some hot laps start now from De Vries and Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri, closely followed by Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. We're going to see that Charles Leclerc is going to receive quite a nice slipstream from Carlos Sainz ahead of him. So very keen to see the early times get put in, and I think we're going to see some 131 straight away from the Ferraris. And yeah, we'll see whether or not they're actually going to come back out. Maybe they're just putting early lap times out. They just go straight back to the pits and hopefully come back. We do see the Ferraris are rocking medium tires, so not opting for the hard route. They're going to do these this opening lap on a set of medium tires. So here goes Charles Leclerc starting his lap now.
Yes, I can see Charles Leclerc starting his lap now, going into turn 1, bouncing a little bit before the first corner, going very wide. That is not great. Looks like he's completely backed off now. Aborting his first lap already, as he did not have a very good first sector. Let's follow on with Carlos Sainz and see what he is up to. Carlos looks like he is having a pretty good lap so far, going into turn 5 now, looking very neat and tidy within track limits. He is on a set of medium tires, though, not going for a set of softs just yet. Maybe also just trying to do a Red Bull and saving a set of softs for the race tomorrow. Now down into turn 10, into the DRS zone before turn 11. Let's see what his sector times are looking at like at the moment, with a purple first sector and a green second sector. Yuki Tsunoda with the fastest overall time so far with a 1:32.1. Carlos Sainz now coming into turn 13. Let's see where he can put himself. Obviously, Yuki Tsunoda on a set of soft tires compared to Carlos Sainz on a set of mediums. Carlos Sainz has put himself now up into second position. He has now finished this, well, that lap. Let's see who else is out on a out lap or on another fast lap. Just watching a replay of Charles Leclerc going wide there at the first corner, obviously just not having a very good, well, just looking closer, we see a little bit of bodywork falling off the car. That is not what he wants to be seeing right now. Trying to see where that comes from at the moment. Can't necessarily spot it. It may be one of the turning vanes to direct air underneath the floor. The session has now been red flagged. Don't know what this is for right now, but I will keep you all updated as I get information. Maybe because of that debris out on track, as it may be on the racing line. Clock has been stopped, of course, with red flag during qualifying, which means that once the green flag has been waved, the time will again resume. Not great for some of the drivers like Piastri. So all of the cars now making their way back into the pits. Red flag is out for that debris on track, but hopefully that should not take too long to sort out, of course.
No, and I am back, and I'm hoping you can hear me. Yes. Red flag, very interesting, of course. The two Red Bulls and the two McLarens also went out onto track to try and put some pace laps in, but going to have to come back in, produce the red flag for that debris on the racing line from Charles Leclerc's car. So a very early stop for this qualifying session. And just here, we've got Dimitris Litsas saying, "Hi there, I'm watching you from Corfu Island, Greece. Thanks a lot." Well, very good to have you here from Greece. And we are very keen to have you here. Do be sure to go and subscribe and like the video, guys. Really, really keen to have some more people watching along with us.
Yes, and if you do enjoy our videos, please do subscribe. We are getting so close to 24,000 subscribers. We would like to make that our goal for this month, but let us see if we can get there.
Goal for this month? I'm thinking we can goal for this weekend. So let's get those subs up. Go to the other streams. Tell everybody else to come here. Honestly, we've got the best coverage. Let's be honest. Tell everybody to come here. We're creating a much better vibe. I back our channel. Be sure to obviously stay here and ask us questions. The only way we improve is if you ask us questions. There's no point in you guys watching and just letting it stay there. Ask us the questions that you want to ask. It's the whole point of having us here. We want to interact with you. We want to watch along with you, of course. So be sure to try and ask us questions as you go.
Yes, and for those just joining our live stream now, we are in a red flag because of some debris out on track from Charles Leclerc's car. Going into turn one on his first hot lap, just losing a bit of bodywork in that first corner. Not ideal from the Ferrari. We were just talking about this earlier in the first session. I mean, it's quite disappointing to see that they are having issues yet again.
So it's just watching a highlight of Carlos Sainz just going around on his lap here. Just see that he goes a little bit off the track limits there. I think he goes wide of that white line, and therefore that lap wouldn't count.
Just watching an onboard of Carlos Sainz. Looks like he went quite wide into turn 7. Just the bottom of the car bottoming out quite a bit and sparking on that curb could have caused some floor damage. They will definitely have to check that once he gets back in the Ferrari garage.
So Ferrari running into some early issues already. As I say, not what you want to see from Ferrari at the moment. So yeah, really not a great start for Ferrari in this qualifying session, causing a red flag. But we should get going soon. The debris should have been removed by now, and Ferrari are going to have to make some fixes to that car ASAP so they can get them out and get a lap time out. Otherwise, there could be a very, very scary situation for Ferrari, where Leclerc already starts the season in the bottom five. So quite crucial that they get him out as quickly as possible. Lance Stroll is waiting to get out there alongside most of the drivers, I'm sure.
Yes, obviously Lance Stroll having had that accident before preseason testing, which meant he did not get any time in the car during testing, but looking fine so far, still performing very well in FP2 and 3. Obviously FP1 just getting his eye in, getting that feel back of being back in the car, but seems to be all right so far.
Yes, and Aston Martin looking very keen to get going, all ready to let their cars out. And the session will resume in 2 minutes' time. So we will be able to see some more laps get put out. And of course, the ones that we're going to be very much looking out for, that of Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll in those Aston Martins, can see what sort of times they could put. We've already seen, as you say, a 132.1 from Yuki Tsunoda. That's already almost a sub 132. And I reckon we're going to be seeing sub 131 times in this qualifying session. So
I think we might even see a sub 130 at some stage for sure.
I think a sub 130 will be seen in the last qualifying session. In this session, I think people will just hold back just a little bit, just to put themselves into the next session, and they'll just take it from there. So yeah, very keen, of course, to see all of this play out. Of course, we'll get going again in 2 minutes when the session resumes. In case you guys are joining us a little bit late, there are currently red flags on the session due to Charles Leclerc having some bodywork fall off the car. And we can literally see the Ferrari engineers applying duct tape to the tire covers there. Just
to the aero parts just feeding into the braking system. That is what they're working on at the moment. As we see some shots of the go-kart track right in the middle of the actual Bahrain circuit. They definitely aren't adhering to the red flag at the moment.
No, and I think it's great fun to see these guys race around here. And I'm actually very keen to know, is that live? Because I don't know why, but I always just feel it's a little dangerous to have them racing around live in the middle of the circuit there. Because I do believe that
it's on a separate circuit
that they have. Completely separate part there. Yes. Just making sure. But I don't quite know why you would be racing around in your little go-kart whilst there's Formula One qualifying going on. For me, it's a bit of an odd one. But nonetheless,
yes, as we see the cars all lined up, waiting for those lights to go out. 25 seconds now remaining until qualifying gets back underway.
And we've got a really big queue. And of course, this is just going to make their tires quite cold as they're trying to get out there. So we've got Williams, then two Alfa Romeos, then the two Haas's, all queuing up to get out into this qualifying session as quickly as possible. And behind those, we've got an Aston Martin. Then we've got, there's an Aston Martin. Then we've got a Red Bull and another Aston Martin. So we've got a huge queue ready to go out. And the light turns green. Qualifying is resumed. And we will now get to see some more laps going, as these guys will need to try and warm up their tires by the time they get back around.
Yes, still quite a lot of drivers that need to put a lap time on the board. There's still 15 drivers that have not put. Ferrari is now ready with Charles Leclerc. They seem to have fixed that piece of bodywork that fell off of Charles Leclerc's car.
So yeah, Ferrari are not even going to try and risk not making the next session. They put him straight onto softs out of Charles Leclerc and not going to risk anything happening in this early session. So all of the cars pretty much going straight out the track. Of course, due to that stoppage, they're going to really want to make sure they get a lap in case another stoppage happens. And there's a huge queue exiting the pit, and they're all just going to space themselves out as much as possible, and then, of course, find themselves in a little bit of clean air as well as getting a slipstream. That's the absolute ideal situation. So we will soon get to see some laps start, of course.
Yes, this is going to be very interesting to see now. Obviously, drivers don't have any more time to do sighting laps. They just need to go full in now and get a fast lap on the board.
So just 11 minutes and 40 seconds left of the session. And pretty much, I think every single car is on the racetrack right now. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
Yes, all cars are out on the circuit right now.
Correct. Every car is out there. We're following that of Max Verstappen right now as he's coming around that just second to last final bend, going onto that long straight before we start the lap. And we do see some laps begin.
I'm going to go on board with Max Verstappen just so we can follow his first flying lap of the weekend.
And I think whilst you do that, I'm going to attempt to go and track that of Sebastian. I want to track Alonso just behind him, just so we can get a good look.
Max Verstappen now through that final corner, starting his fast lap. Just coming up to now the DRS zone, wing wide open as he starts this flying lap. Let's closely follow his sector times.
And myself, I'm on board with Alonso, and we will be following him as he gets going on the opening straight as well, chasing Verstappen down.
Neat and tidy so far from Max Verstappen into turns 1 and 2, now making his way to turns 3 and 4.
And Stroll has set, Verstappen indeed takes away from Stroll the quickest first sector, but let's see if Alonso can beat that now.
Very neat and tidy into turns 5 and 6, approaching turns 7 and 8.
Alonso unable to get into Verstappen's first sector time, but we'll see if he can catch that up now in the second sector, which has been his strong, well, third sector has been a strong point, but let's see if he can catch him up now.
That's very neat into turns 9 and 10. Yes, as I see now, Guan Yu Zhou has taken that top time spot with a 131.9, already breaking those 132s. Max yet again, so neat and tidy into turns 11. Few little corrections there. Now into turn 12, still looking very neat and tidy. Can he keep it neat and tidy into turn 13, the right-hand braking zone? Yes, he does. Just misses that apex, though, still within the track limits. Approaching now turn 14.
Alonso with a purple sector in the middle sector. So Alonso really on Verstappen's toes here. And yeah, Alonso should actually beat Verstappen's time, as I'm sure Verstappen is crossing the line.
Lance Stroll has now taken the top time spot as we see Verstappen now coming across the line. Where does that put him?
Alonso has taken Verstappen's place. Alonso has gone quicker than Verstappen around. So Alonso at a 131.1, Verstappen at a 131.29. So very interesting, of course, the fact that we've got to see that Aston Martin still maintaining that pace.
Yes, still looking very dominant out there, that Aston Martin, from what we've seen in the other sessions. Some people thought maybe the other teams were still sandbagging a bit, but no, it looks like Aston Martin truly are looking like the cream of the crop right now.
As we see Charles Leclerc crossing the line now, and Charles Leclerc goes quickest. So Charles Leclerc putting a great dent in that board. And now Russell goes quickest as well. So we're seeing all these teams change, and they're all really close to each other. Hamilton goes 5th. Stroll drops down into 6th now.
Sainz now goes fastest with the 130.993.
We are really seeing these times drop. And I'll tell you something, what's great to see is the fact that all of these races are just permanently improving these times as Perez crosses the line only in 6th. Just behind Max Verstappen there. So we currently have Sainz, Russell, Leclerc, Alonso, Verstappen, Perez. Those in the elimination zone at the moment: Gasly, Hülkenberg, the 2 McLarens, and Sargent. Of course, Norris has not done a time yet. Sargent has just finished his time, but not very quick at all. Only 8 minutes left of this session.
5th and 6th, certainly not where we expected Red Bull to be right now. We certainly expected them to be closer to the top of those times.
And right now, McLaren looking very concerned in their box right there. They have completed some times there, but not very quick at all. So they're going to need to really motor as much as they can to get out of that elimination zone.
Interesting to see so far that Guan Yu Zhou is out qualifying Valtteri Bottas, who is quite a few years his senior, not only in F1, but obviously in age. Very interesting to see that Guan Yu Zhou is bringing his A game for 2023.
It's a bit harsh, of course, when you go and look at the times, though, because it's 0.954 to Zhou, whereas 0.959 to Bottas. So really, really close times for the two of the teammates there. Really, really close together.
Yes. Well, let's see what happens now. Obviously, that top 6 only covered by 0.4 of a second, very close between all of them. Obviously, this track is going to evolve so much between now and Q3, so we should see these times dropping quite dramatically.
And all the teams coming back into the pits to very quickly get that fuel into the tank there, or at least just to make sure that they go out and get a really, really good qualifying session right before the end of this. I think it's going to be a very dramatic end to this first qualifying session. Of course, currently McLaren are the big talking point. They're not out of that elimination zone yet, so they're going to be very nervous right now.
Interesting to see that Lance Stroll has not put a time on the board just yet.
Oh, no, Lance Stroll did have a lap time, but it's obviously been deleted for track limits.
That would make sense.
Lance Stroll, unfortunately, having to go and redo his there. So Mike Crack is not going to be too happy about that. He's going to have to send Stroll back out there. I don't think any teams are going to withhold their drivers. The times are a bit too close for them not to do so. As we look at the replay of where he goes beyond track limits.
Yes, going into turn 13, just outbraked himself and lost it. Lost that. It's only a matter of maybe 30, 40 centimeters that he missed that white line by.
James, they're saying Mercedes hiding pace before this. Well, you'd have to try and perhaps look at it, because Mercedes really are right up there. Russell in second right now, which is not at all bad. So, yeah, Mercedes coming with their A game in this qualifying session, and let's hope they can continue doing that as we go.
Yes, for sure. Great to see Mercedes up there. We certainly did not expect to see them anywhere near the top three with how they've been performing in testing, as well as the first and second practice sessions. There we see on that McLaren, their digital advertising board on the side of their car. Very interesting that they are testing that out now this season.
I still maintain it should be very, very off-putting for the drivers to have that right there, as they do see that out the corner of their eyes. But nonetheless, they've persisted with it, and they're going to see how it works the entire season.
Just waiting now, a little bit of a lull in action on track with no one currently on track, just waiting for the first car to go out again. We have 4 minutes and 10 seconds to go till the end of Q1. We should see some cars going up very shortly to put in their final laps. Looks like Carlos Sainz is out of the car already. He seems to be happy with his first qualifying session, that is for sure. As Lance Stroll goes back out onto track. Now we have cars back out on track. The majority of the grid have gone out. Just the likes of some of the big teams left. Sainz, Russell, Leclerc, Alonso, Verstappen, Perez, and Hamilton yet to go out. Sorry, as I say that, I see Alonso is going out onto track. So we have pretty much everyone out on track except for Hülkenberg, Sargent, Sainz, Russell, Leclerc, Verstappen, Perez, and Hamilton.
Just 3 minutes left of the session, so very, very key to see what happens. So the cars that have not come back out, that of Sainz, Russell, Leclerc, Verstappen, Perez, and Hamilton. So Alonso coming back out, which is very interesting.
Leclerc is now on his outlap, including Russell and Hamilton.
So surely you will see Red Bull come out as well, or do you think they're just going to risk it?
Well, Verstappen is on his outlap, as well as Sergio Perez, as you said that.
So we will have all of the drivers back out, except for that of Carlos Sainz. So Carlos Sainz reckons he's got a quick enough time. He is the only one with a sub 131, so I think he is quite safe there. But the rest of them all going to be battling it out here as we come into this lap. Of course, the track does really change all the time in the evening here in Bahrain, so it's going to be very crucial for a lot of these drivers. The biggest, of course, is that of McLaren, where we see Norris and Piastri still in that elimination zone for McLaren.
Yes, certainly they will be wanting to jump up a few places. Certainly they do not want to be down in the bottom 5. That would be a huge blow to McLaren if that is where they qualify today.
Just 2 minutes to go in this qualifying session.
"90 seconds left of qualifying one. Everyone should be coming up to start their final laps very soon. Who should we follow on this next lap, Mark?
I'm thinking that, well, of course, we want to follow the quickest drivers, but that's going to be interesting, of course, in the bottom 5. That's actually where we need to be looking in terms of who's going to get eliminated and who's going to stay up. I think Lance Stroll, of course, has got nervous at times, of course, because he needs to make it into that top 15 again after having his lap deleted. So Lance Stroll is the only driver without a time currently as a result. So I'm sure
Currently
he is
putting in a clean first sector. It looks like he is slowing down, though, for some reason. But looks to be back up again. Let's watch him now into turn 13. Oh, big moment of oversteer there. Not looking very happy right now in that car. Hopefully that is... Sorry, repeat that, Mark?
I was just saying this could be very dangerous for Lance Stroll if he doesn't manage to make it in. Of course, he needs to try and get around before the qualifying session ends in order to have a chance. Alex Albon, meanwhile, going around his fast lap. He's going to really motor here. He's seemingly going quite quickly. He's improved on all his times. He's going very quickly here. Should get a sub 132 here at least, maybe even a sub 131.
As Stroll puts himself up into 5th position ahead of Max Verstappen. He has taken a fastest 3rd sector right now.
So Gasly now at risk of dropping into the bottom 5 as we see all the drivers going around. The most important, of course, watching McLaren, Norris and Piastri going around. Can they manage to break out of that elimination zone? We will find out now. Norris is going quicker in these sectors. Piastri following him slowly.
I'm just hanging on board with Max Verstappen right now, just waiting to see if he goes for another fast lap. Right now, just on a warm-up.
Will Norris manage to get out of the elimination zone? He's crossing the line now. And he does just get out of it, but there's still a few people that have to finish laps. Can Oscar Piastri do the same? Hulkenberg now also in that elimination zone. Can he get up? Piastri is a little bit slow, so can Piastri actually get out of the elimination zone as well? This is his first weekend in Formula One, but it's going to look very risky right now. Norris only in 14th. He's very dangerously close to that elimination zone. As we see Piastri come around the final corner, can he get there ahead? He's really rushing to get there. It's going to be a little bit slow. I think he might well still be in the elimination zone. He only crosses now. He's still eliminated. Piastri is out of this session. So is De Vries. So 2 of the juniors out of the race again. Also, Gasly is going to drop out as well. Magnussen and Sargent, the only ones left. Can Sargent break out? He's doing quite a quick lap so far. Can he beat Norris's time? Here comes Sargent. Does he break out of it? Sargent does not, unfortunately, and we've only waited for Kevin Magnussen.
Lando Norris obviously getting just so lucky there to be able to make it into Q2 as we now watch all of the cars making their way back into the pits to prepare for qualifying 2. So very interesting. Our top 5 at the moment in pole position as of now is Carlos Sainz, followed closely by George Russell, then Charles Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, then Lance Stroll to finish up our top 5.
I think most notably, interestingly as well, is the fact that Magnussen is eliminated whilst Hulkenberg finds himself in 6th place. So Hulkenberg certainly putting his money where his mouth is in terms of beating Magnussen in this session. Magnussen already down in the bottom 5. So you see a replay here of Alex Albon going around that final corner. I think he might have a track time deleted here. Oh, he comes very close to it. Just looking here, very close to that line. I think he does go over indeed, so he might well have his lap time deleted, in which case he'll drop down.
That is very disappointing for him if they do remove that lap time from the board.
If Albon does go down, it will be Sargent who will come back up. So Williams will replace a Williams in that top 15 into the next session. So Sargent might well be able to put himself into the second qualifying session, depending on whether or not Albon's time gets deleted. We'll wait on that announcement now.
What's also interesting is that Pierre Gasly has been eliminated while Esteban Ocon has put himself up into 12th position.
Yes, the Alpines actually a little bit slower than I'd hoped they would be in this session, if I'm honest. But you know, I look here, the Ferraris and the Mercs. The Ferraris, the Merc of Russell and the two Aston Martins really, really close together. I think that's quite incredible.
Yes, it is definitely rather incredible to see them being so close together right now.
So most of the people finishing those laps on softs and mediums, no hards being used at all, and the standings are very close. Also notable is Red Bull only in 7th and 10th, so not putting in particularly quick times in that session, but nonetheless, I'm sure they'll be keeping the pace for the later qualifying sessions. The most important thing in qualifying is just to make it to the next session and only really show the pace in qualifying 3, of course.
Yes, as we see that tower here in Bahrain lit up with the Ferrari logos. Amazing to see. They always do that. They show the logo of the car at the top of the timing boards at the current time. Couple drivers obviously in their debut race not making it past Q1. Obviously disappointment for Logan Sargent, Kevin Magnussen, Piastri, De Vries, and Pierre Gasly.
So yeah, very, very excited to see what happens in Q2, of course. Yeah, I mean, if we just look at Q2 right now, of course, Norris does just make it in. We're still waiting on whether or not Albon gets his lap deleted or not. At the moment, it doesn't seem like it, unless I'm mistaken. But Sargent would take his place if that should happen. Yeah, it's just really, really, really interesting the fact that Red Bulls weren't as quick as I might have thought they would be. Of course, again, it's only the first qualifying session, but still being quite outdone. 3D's here saying anybody would like to watch Formula One for free. Well, if you look in the description of the channel, you will find that there is a whole instruction manual on how to do exactly that. So be sure to go and look in the description. And James, they're saying suddenly Red Bull looking under pressure? Question mark. Well, that's why I say it's certainly something that we're going to have to watch in Q2. Will Red Bull go and show a bit more pace in Q2, or will it be a little bit slow? Very, very intrigued to see if the Ferraris managed to get their pace up again for the first qualifying session. What is good to see so far in this Formula One season already is how competitive all these teams seem to be.
Yes, well, I think Max certainly has quite a little bit more time on the board with 1 minute and 50 seconds to go until Q2 starts. I just watched on his onboard on his last lap. He had quite a few little moments, little corrections that he had to make. I'm sure he'll make a few changes in the garage to combat that. But hopefully we should be seeing him nearer to the top of the times.
There's a large contingent of Ferrari fans in the crowd. They're all celebrating the fact that Carlos Sainz got the quickest time in Q1. They're having a chat to Zach Brown right now, asking about Oscar Piastri and the fact that Lando Norris was so far down. He does look very disappointed with the team, but I mean, he has been playing down their times the entire week, and unfortunately, it's looking exactly like McLaren do not look strong this year at all. I mean, we thought they'd be best of the rest contender, but they're not even going to be anywhere near that, I don't think.
No, not looking like it at this moment.
Also looking at Nick De Vries here and Kevin Magnussen looking very solemn and very upset, of course, not making it into the next qualifying session. So,
yes,
yeah.
Both of them taking that walk of shame to the FIA garage to go and get weighed after qualifying. Certainly got a bit of predictability that those rookies would not outperform their teammates in the first qualifying. Obviously, they are still getting to grips with these new cars. Yes, and I'm sure we will see them performing possibly a bit better throughout this season.
Of course, Q2 is just about to get going again, and we're very intrigued to see what happens in Q2. And we're looking at this, and oh my word, Alex Albon does not get his time deleted because he's literally like millimeters on the line. So Alex Albon just staying in to allow for his lap time to stay. So very, very good that there. We've got Aline Bagiri here saying love from India. Well, we love to have you here from India. Tell all your friends to come and join the chat, of course, and otherwise come and join the stream, of course. We are trying to make it as good as possible for all of you to watch in case you guys are unable to watch it live. But if you are unable to watch it live, you can go check the description of our video and we can tell you exactly how you can in case you're looking for a means to do that. So description of the video, we've got a video there and as well as the instruction manual on how to do that. And just as a little bit of a thanks don't you want to just hit that subscribe button and hit the notifications icon and like the video as well? Go spam the like button on the video. Very keen to have more likes in this channel, and we are aiming as a channel to grow from 23,500 subscribers. We want to get to 24,000 by the end of the weekend if we somehow can. So please help us out, do that. Tell your friends, subscribe. We do bring as much information for you as possible for the F1. Oscar Piastri also taking this walk of shame. Saudi, they're saying he's back. Nice to have you here. Was it Sadie or Saudi? I'm sorry, I'm South African. I'll say Saudi 46. So nice to have you back, as we're also watching Logan Sargent, his first walk of shame in F1 as he goes off to the FIA office.
Currently watching Max Verstappen in his car, just keeping very calm and composed, looking at all the data, checking where he should and shouldn't brake, checking where he should and shouldn't accelerate as well, just looking where to make little improvements for his next lap time, as it's the little improvements that can give you P1 on the timing boards. Alan Bagiri saying, what's happening with Hamilton? Russell is P2 with the same car. Hamilton obviously down in P13 at the moment. We've seen from last year that this car just seems to suit George Russell so much more than Lewis Hamilton. Him being able to take extract the most out of this car, while Hamilton just seemed to struggle to get to grips with it a little bit more. Your views, Mark?
Yeah, I think it's just Russell is definitely showing his class at the moment. I think that's a really, really good thing. Russell's trying to take his way forward, and of course, he did beat Lewis Hamilton last year in the points, and I think that's probably given him a lot of confidence going into the season. So, very keen to see what he can do, and maybe this is the beginning of a little bit of rustiness for Hamilton. He's not quite seemingly performing with Alonso, and so it's a bit of a nervous thing for Hamilton. But of course, he's got so much experience. I'm sure he'll fix that now in the second qualifying session. But all to race for, because the times are so close. It's so competitive, and really, it's the most exciting start. Q2 is underway, and we do see Lance Stroll coming out of the garage now, getting ready to go and do his quick lap in this second qualifying session. Very keen to see what this Aston Martin can do.
Yes, lots of cars getting out on track, obviously all led by that Haas of Nico Hulkenberg. He will certainly be wanting to put in another good time. Interesting to see that Lance Stroll went out on a used set of soft tires. We now see the Red Bull of Max Verstappen with those shiny new Pirelli tires, brand new, out of the molds, never even driven on track. Now we see him out of his pit box going to warm up his tires.
Leaving the pit box, and also see Max Verstappen getting lowered down. The blankets are coming off. All the cars for the second session are making its way out. And whilst I also have you here, Sadie 46, why are the tracks surrounded in colors? Well, this is Bahrain. Bahrain love their RGB lights everywhere. So it is beautiful to go and watch this track. And of course, the track is very well lit, and they do have some very fun little color things just to add to the atmosphere of the Grand Prix. Aline Bagiri here said, do you think that Aston Martin are the dark horses making it a four-way battle? 100%. 100%. Reese, I'm sure your thoughts are very similar, but I think Aston Martin are very much saying to the big three, you're not the big three.
It is now a big four. Yes, I mean, we certainly, it's what us as Formula One fans love to see when we have a dark horse coming in, an underdog coming in with less budget than these big teams, bringing it to these big teams with so much pace from what we've seen at least. We now see, I think this is Lance Stroll getting ready to start his first hot lap.
Yes, I'm very intrigued to see what happens in the second session. We're now going to see much closer times than of the first, because some of those drivers in that first session, I did predict more or less to drop down there. A couple of the only one I think is a little bit of a shame. There's Gasly, I think, finishing all the way down in 20th place. I was hoping he'd make the next session. But Lance Stroll, as you say, now starting his hot lap as well. Very intrigued.
Making his way into turn one now, very clean into turn. Bit of a oversteer into turn two. That would have lost him a couple of tenths. Not great into turn two. Luckily, he is on a set of older used soft tires. Clean into turn four, at least, going into the next sector of turn five.
It's very interesting that he didn't abort that lap. So obviously, he still backs the fact that he's going to be able to get through with his current lines, etc. So all the cars currently doing some hot laps now, and we're going to see some big quick times here. Bottas so far putting a purple sector in sector one, so that's very interesting to notice. And now Alonso is taking it. Alonso very quickly, they're taking that purple sector in sector 1 as we're starting to see
Yes,
some
I'm
time.
going to jump on board with Alonso and just let you know how his lap is going. Obviously, watching through that visor cam, which is phenomenal to always watch through, just showing him just showing us what the drivers see. Going now down into turn 9 and 10, looking very neat and tidy, just showing that oscillation that goes through the car, all the bumps, every bump on that track he will be feeling.
Yes, and we've got a whole lot of people watching us now. Please sure to like the stream very quickly and subscribe as well. We were doing this all the time. If you guys are looking to watch this live, in the description of the video, you can find out exactly how you can. Please do participate in the poll as well. Who's going to go fastest in this qualifying session? We've got the 4 teams there that you can choose from. Very interested right now. Stroll and Alonso coming to the end of their races. Stroll here putting in a decent time of only 132.3, so not actually all that brilliant. Hulkenberg going quickest now with a 131.9.
As we now see Fernando Alonso putting in a 131.094. Brilliant first lap time from Fernando Alonso. Let's see who else is out on track setting these timing boards ablaze. It looks like Max Verstappen has set a first fastest sector. Watching him now come into turn 11.
It's Max Verstappen really taking it to everybody now in that Red Bull.
Setting a second fastest sector now as well.
Yeah, Max Verstappen very much on track to get a fastest lap of the session so far.
As Hamilton goes P1 with Hamilton a 130.9.
The quickest time of qualifying so far, 130.9. That was quicker than Sainz in Q1. So it's really, really cool to see is the fact that Mercedes seem to actually have found some pace back again. And we talked about Hamilton earlier from, I think it was Aline saying what was happening with Hamilton. Well, you know what?
Max Verstappen now coming across the line. Where does that lap time put him? It puts him in first with a 130.5.
We are seeing some really, really quick times. And Perez also with a really quick time, a 130.7. So 2 Red Bulls, 1 and 2. Hamilton in third, Russell fourth, Alonso in fifth. But Alonso, I'm sure, will get to the pits and quickly come back out and do another quick lap. And I'm very intrigued to see whether or not we will see a sub 130 in this session. It's heating up a lot right now.
It certainly is. That is for sure. People are starting to show their hands properly. I was certainly very surprised to see the Red Bulls down the timing boards in Quali 1. Obviously, just not using all of their true pace in that first session.
And the Ferraris now maybe a little bit under pressure. They're going to need to speed themselves up a little bit because they're in the mid 131s. And all the other teams are right on their tail, of course. We're looking for the top 10 drivers right now. So drivers in danger is Yuki Tsunoda, Alex Albon, who's not done a time, I don't think, which is interesting, of course. I'll find out why that is. But Yuki Tsunoda there, Ocon, Stroll, Zhou, and Albon, all the drivers in danger of dropping out of the session currently.
Max Verstappen on his way back now to the pits, just taking a very gingerly, taking his in-lap very gingerly, not wanting to take too much life out of those tires. Of course, if you qualify on the set of tires, then you have to start the race with them tomorrow.
And I'm sure Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez will be done for this session. I'm sure they'll back those times to be good enough to stay in the session. Sub 131's very good at this stage. So they will surely go back to the pits and stay there. Along with Hamilton, I'm sure might well also just stay there. Maybe
yes,
Russell.
They should have a big enough gap to be able to be safe for the rest of qualifying too.
Yeah, Russell might want to also make his way back out again, and maybe Alonso does as well, but I'm sure it'll be fine. That of Lance Stroll is going to desperately need to get back out there, of course, making a little bit of a mess up on his lap around. And, we talk about these Aston Martins being so good, so he's going to need to really get out there as quickly as possible. And,
yes, well, I definitely think he will be, as he did do that time on a set of used tyres. Currently, that Aston Martin being backed up by hand for some reason. I don't know why. Possibly getting taken to the scales. Yes, having to be taken to the weighbridge.
Oh, dear.
Yes, so, he apparently missed that light from the FIA and drove past him, now having to be taken back by all of his mechanics.
And this is going to take some crucial time away from his potential means of doing another qualifying lap. So they're going to really need to motor here, the Aston Martin crew, as they do really. I mean, this car is not, look, it's light, but it's not that light. And they really are motoring this car back all the way there. So he's desperately needs to hurry up.
Just watching that Williams of Alexander Albon coming down into turn 1, just a head-on shot showing that floor, just how it scrapes along the entirety of that main straight.
Alex Albon, of course, not set a time so far on this session. So he's come out. He's decided to do the opposite where nobody's on
He's
track.
gone out of the track limits there. That is going to be deleted, unfortunately. That was all 4 wheels over the white line and has now gone completely off the track.
Yeah, Albon really messing up. I'm not even sure he's going to attempt to do another one. I'm not sure he'll have enough fuel to attempt another one on the same amount of fuel. Will he try another lap?
I don't know what fuel level he is running, but he is going to be under quite a lot of pressure right now.
I think he might well just try and nurse it round to the front there and just hope that he's got enough fuel. So I'm sure he'll try and get going again because he can't really afford to come back into the pits. I'm not sure he's going to make it back around. So we'll follow that with some interest there. Of course, we're still waiting on Lance Stroll to get weighed and get back into the garage to try and get himself onto the track. Only 4 minutes left of the session. Lance Stroll, the big talking point, he's still in the elimination zone in that Aston Martin, which has been so quick all weekend. So really, really keen to see what happens there.
Yes, obviously, please do vote in our poll in the comment section. Do let us know who you think will take pole position here today.
And of course, if you guys are watching and you guys are keen to comment, be sure to let us know where you're watching from. You know, we've got a couple of people saying they're watching from India, which I'm very keen to see. And he was also, I see the chat has gone, he was asking about the Indian Grand Prix. Well, my thoughts on the Indian Grand Prix is why not? Same way I talk about a South African Grand Prix in Kyalami. I would love to see it back. You know, let's have races around the world rather than all in the same place. So very keen to see some more races, of course. So yeah, just watching this qualifying session. We're really heading into the last 3 minutes now. Both Red Bulls not looking anything like they're going to go back out. Hülkenberg and Ocon currently on the track with Zhou and Bottas. So yeah, everyone's coming back out to the track. We're going to try and put some last laps in here.
Certainly didn't expect Lewis Hamilton to have to go back out again, but Mercedes seeming to think that they need to go out and do a few more laps. We see Lance Stroll now with a brand new set of soft tires on that car. He will now be going for his fastest lap time of this session.
That makes sense for Aston Martin because there's no way you're going to risk not having him in the last session here. So they're going to need to put some brand new sets of tires on, and they are very, very shiny, of course. But yeah, it's very weird that Hamilton's going to be sent back out. Personally, I think he's definitely got a quick enough time, unless they think the track's evolving so much that we're going to see a whole lot of sub 31s now. But I doubt it. I very much doubt it. So very weird.
It looks like everyone is going out except for the likes of the Red Bulls and Alexander Albon, who unfortunately I do not think is going to be able to put in another hot lap.
Well, if Alex Albon wants to get another hot lap in, he's going to have to really get out of those pits very quickly and pretty much do a racing lap just to get back around. So unlikely that he's going to be able to do a quick enough time, as you say.
Yes, we currently have Esteban Ocon about to start his first hot lap. Well, his current latest hot lap, just about to go past that DRS zone and the start-finish line.
Very intrigued to see how Ocon does here. I was tipping him as a dark horse in this qualifying session, so let's follow him with some interest here as well. But of course, we'll be watching all of the different cars. Lance Stroll being one of the major talking points in that Aston Martin. Can he get out of that danger zone?
Yes, obviously these cars being so close together in performance, which is just brilliant to watch right now. Esteban Ocon currently 3/10 up on his personal best time.
So a good start for Ocon, of course. Can he keep it up? Can he get a clean attempt around this track?
Guan Yu Zhou quite a lot up on his personal best time. 4/10, almost half a second up on himself.
And Lance Stroll now also, I believe, starting his hot lap. So we're going to follow that with great interest as well.
Yes, I will go on board with Lance Stroll and follow what he is doing quite closely. Carlos Sainz currently put in the fastest Sector 1 time. Let's see what Carlos Sainz can do. Lance Stroll now coming through corner 1, looking neat and tidy. No moments like he had previously in turn 2 and 3. DRS wide open, approaching turn 4.
Seeing Ocon here across the line. He crosses very nicely all the way up into 4th place. So 130.9, a sub 131 for Ocon. So really, this is very dangerous. My word, Hülkenberg all the way into 130.8, so into 3rd. So really good timings here. Zhou's back into 9th. Charles Leclerc is now at risk. So he's going to need to make sure he puts a quick time in.
And Lance Stroll has put in a very competitive first sector time a 29.038. Max Verstappen's fastest first sector time being a 28.925. So not far off between those two. Let's see what he can do
and
throughout
Alonso
the rest
goes
of
a
this lap.
1:30.6, so really quick. Lando Norris gets himself out, and both Ferraris are in the danger zone right now. Both Ferraris in the danger zone. Lance Stroll, Charles Leclerc goes quickest. My word, almost a sub 1:30.
So close now. Obviously, this track has been evolving, so we could see some even faster times in Quali 3. So certainly stay with us for that.
A very, very good decision from Mercedes to send both drivers out, because Russell was almost at danger there and manages to get a 1:30.5, taking him out of that danger zone. Same as Hamilton, taking him out of that danger zone. Ocon is very close, and Norris currently the driver at risk. Here can Lance Stroll get into the top 10? He's a driver at risk, but he has managed to make it just in at the
Pushing
end
himself in 10th position. Very well done from Lance Stroll after having those sets of surgery on his hands.
My word, what an interesting end to the qualifying session there.
Yeah, certainly been very interesting. Great to see that Ferrari so far up now. Certainly they have been hiding some pace and have now joined the party.
I mean, just look at the pace there from first to seventh. Just 0.4 seconds in it. It's so insanely close between all of these cars. So really, really, really good. Valtteri Bottas is still going round, I believe.
Let's see what he can do.
No, he's
if
not.
he is, no, he's not.
So
no.
Just looked like he was going at pace. I was thinking, oh, hello.
So that is the end of Quali 2. Now waiting for Quali 3. It should be a few minutes until that gets underway.
And most disappointingly, of course, is the fact that Lando Norris in that McLaren not able to make it into the final qualifying session. The McLaren's looking very slow this year. It's a big scare for team principal Zach Brown. Of course, he's looking very, very solemn in the box there. So,
yes,
yeah.
That should certainly be quite a big wake-up call from McLaren, getting their A into gear. Certainly, they will need to do a lot of development of their car throughout the season.
And Sadie46 here just asking, I wish I could watch F1 live. Well, you know something? You can. If you go and look at the description of the video, we tell you exactly how to do that. So be sure to go and check that out. And you can go and watch live, utilizing the instructions and following the video we've made directly for all of you guys. We're really trying to help you guys all enjoy Formula One to the best of your ability. So be sure to go and check that out. Of course, subscribe to the channel as well. We're looking to get up to 24,000 subscribers. We're so close. Like the video as well, and be sure to participate in the poll, and tell us where you're watching from as well if you guys want to. We are, of course, also here to answer any questions you might have. What a qualifying session 2 we've had, and I'm so keen for this last qualifying.
Yes, it's been so close. We honestly don't know who is going to take pole today. It has changed almost every session so far. As we see Guan Yu Zhou now getting out of the car, not able to get himself into qualifying 3. Certainly a lot to look forward to for this final part of qualifying. Should certainly be very explosive. Let's see who can fight it out for pole position here today. Obviously, such an important day for Fernando Alonso here in his on the anniversary of his debut in Formula One. 22 minutes now since 22 years now since his debut in Formula One in 2001 at the Australian Grand Prix while racing for Minardi.
And Aline is saying it will be Hamilton's pole with some celebration things. So, yeah, I mean, very, very intrigued to watch what happens in this final session. So do not go anywhere. We're really, really intrigued to see. And Reese will have to take you through most of it, as in 7 minutes' time I'm going to unfortunately be unavailable. But nonetheless, Reese will take you through that final qualifying, which should be so interesting, of course. I'm very, very intrigued to see what happens.
Yes, unfortunately, Mark will be jumping off soon, but I will be joining you till the last seconds of qualifying here in Bahrain.
Sadie, they're just making a joke. They're saying, actually, if I touch the subscribe button one more time, it'll be unsubscribed. Well, then don't do that. Just keep it in that subscribe section there, of course. But yeah, just be sure to keep commenting and asking questions. We're, of course, here to answer all of those.
Yes, please do let us know in that comment section who you think will be taking that pole position after Quali 3 here today. Very, very exciting. Only a few minutes until that final qualifying session gets underway here under the lights in Bahrain.
Does just looks so pretty, that track there, Bahrain, and still got the Ferrari symbol going on their big building there. Of course, Ferrari topping the charts in that second qualifying session as well as the first one. So Ferrari actually each time has been the quickest. So can they finish on pole?
Yes, that will be certainly what we want to watch. 2 minutes and 5 seconds to go until qualifying 3 gets underway. Alan Bagiri saying in the comment section, Middle East is the land of goats. First Messi, then Cristiano Ronaldo, now Hamilton domination. Well, that is yet to be seen, Alan. Let's see if he can put it on pole in this final qualifying session.
So, yeah, just seeing the cars getting prepped and finalized and ready for this final qualifying session. Max Verstappen not looking particularly relaxed, actually, looking maybe a little bit concerned as we look inside his helmet. I think he will be a little bit concerned. Some of these races are looking very quick, so he's going to need to make sure he gets the quickest time possible as he goes out there, and he cannot make a single mistake. Same as George Russell, and all these drivers, it really is that close. Sadie, they're saying, and from Italy, VR646, yes, I think that's he's talking to himself, of course.
Yes, I certainly think that a lot of these teams still have a handful of pace just hiding in their back pocket. So we will now see them finally putting that on the board. They have to put it all out there now to fight for pole position.
And the crowd is very much enjoying this qualifying session. And who wouldn't be? I mean, my word, we've seen some really, really good track attempts from all the drivers. Everyone ready to get going. Qualifying is going to get going in just about 30 seconds. The final session for the day. Very intrigued to see what can happen. And of course, they're going to try and get going from the get-go to get the quickest lap straight away, just to put some pressure and power pressure on the rest. Fernando Alonso asking for something in the box there, but he seems to be quite relaxed. And yeah, let's see what he can do in this qualifying session now.
Yes, possibly asking for either a drink or just for his fan to cool him down into that car. As we take a look at that Ferrari front wing, have at least fixed those issues that they had during testing with that nose that was just, it had a structural integrity issue, obviously not having that anymore, but just so much anticipation for this final session.
So currently the leading times from that second session, Leclerc, Verstappen, Russell, Hamilton, Sainz. So we've got 2 Ferraris, 1 Red Bull, and 2 Mercedes in the top 5. Then Alonso in the Aston Martin, then Perez in the Red Bull, Hulkenberg in the Haas, Ocon of the Alpine, and Stroll of the other Aston Martin. And I think we're going to be very, very intrigued to see if Aston Martin can put themselves in the podium, well, in the front row for tomorrow through Fernando Alonso, and can Stroll get a quicker lap than he did in the second session. We are just qualifying 3 has started, so people can go back out into track, but everyone's just waiting for somebody to make the first move, I think.
Yes, of course, you don't want to be the first person to go out now, otherwise people will use you for a slipstream. But of course, you don't want to be the first person out, as you want that track to evolve even more, for there to be even more rubber down, so that you can put an even faster lap on the board. Let's see who makes the first move to be out on track.
And at the same time, of course, you don't want to wait too long, because obviously then you're running out of time to put in the second lap to go even quicker. So Ferrari are making the decision to take the car out. They are removing all the blankets from both of their cars. I think they're going to try and give each other a pull. So, yeah, it does look like Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz are the first cars out on track. It is the Ferraris making their way out. There are actually a couple of other cars ahead of them. I don't quite know who they are, but yeah, making their way out now.
Yes, let's have a look and see who is out on track for this final qualifying session. Let's see. We see the Aston Martins starting to come out on track now as well.
It's going to be very exciting. We've got 10 minutes of action coming your way. Reese will take you through most of it, but I'll be here until such time as I can't be. And yeah, very intrigued to see what happens, and hopefully we'll see a couple of flying laps right from the get-go here.
Yes, should be a very explosive final qualifying session here under the lights in Bahrain. 10 minutes now left till the end of the session. Not long for these teams to put in a qualifying lap, run back to the pits, possibly put on a new set of tires, and then go out again. it is going to be very condensed, very, very exciting.
We see Piero Ferrari, of course, relation to Enzo Ferrari. They're in the pits for Ferrari. So going to be watching on very much with great anticipation for his team. We'll see what happens now with the two Ferraris, of course, following. I believe it's who are those first two cars? I still can't quite see what it is. I believe it's Ocon.
Looks like those Red Bulls are also out on track at the moment. It may be the Red Bulls, yes.
So we've got both Red Bulls and both Ferraris, followed by an Aston Martin out on track. So Ocon not actually coming out yet, same as Hülkenberg.
Yes, let me maybe jump on with Max Verstappen right now. Let's see how his first lap goes. He is very close to the end of his warm-up lap right now and is now starting his last qualifying lap. DRS wide open, passing the start-finish straight, making his way down now to turn 1. Neat and tidy so far, no lockups. Very neat into turn 1, making his way now into turn 2. Very calm and collected and controlled for now. Let's keep an eye on all of those sector times.
And I'm also going to be following Charles Leclerc as well, as he's following on just behind Perez as well. And Charles Leclerc coming into his first corner now, hitting it very nicely and looking very smooth through the track. Yeah, he's hitting these apexes very nicely as well. So should hopefully put some good sector times. And Max Verstappen puts a purple sector in, of course.
Looking so neat right now on his onboard. Certainly looking very dominant. Let's see if this will be enough to keep him at the top of those time boards.
So Verstappen still holding on to the purple first sector there. Leclerc just a little bit slower. Sainz also just a little bit slower than Verstappen's time there. Stroll quite a way off already, 29.3. So a little bit way off already in that first sector. So Stroll not looking fantastic.
Yes, Max Verstappen now in turn 13. Let's see what his second sector time looks like. It's also purple. So very competitive so far from Max Verstappen. Final corner now. Let's see what this lap time is going to be.
And Charles Leclerc now takes a purple middle sector from Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc has gone quicker in that middle sector.
Max Verstappen's finishing time. Let's just see what it is here.
A sub 130 for Max Verstappen.
First sub 130 of the weekend. Sergio Perez finishes in second so far with a 130.1. Charles Leclerc now.
Oh my word, 130 on the dot.
Wow, just behind Max Verstappen for now, 130 dead. Max Verstappen with a 129.897. Very close between the top 4 right now.
And Stroll very slow comparatively, very slow. So clearly had issues on that lap. Stroll's going to need to come back to the pits as quickly as possible and just make some changes. I don't know if that's his hand or maybe he has made mistakes on the race circuit, but Stroll a bit off the pace already.
The one that I'm waiting to see who has just gone out on track is Fernando Alonso on that brand new set of tires. As we see George Russell also getting out on track now.
Sadie, they're saying Verstappen doing great, just great. Yeah, Verstappen really setting the tone there with a sub 130, 129.897. So a great time there for Max Verstappen. And of course, these 5 drivers are going to try and get into the pits as quickly as possible. Russell, Hamilton, Alonso, Hülkenberg, and Ocon now going to be making their way out into track, I'm sure, to put their own times in as well.
You have now 5 minutes and 50 seconds left to vote in our poll, as well as to let us know in the comments who you think will be taking that pole position here in 5 minutes' time. So far, it is looking like Max Verstappen is the most dominant for that pole position right now.
Just watching Carlos Sainz make a little bit of an error there. Oh my word, yeah, on that lap attempt, but still managed to get quite a quick lap in, considering.
Yes, looking very loose though on the rear, just not looking as comfortable as those Red Bulls right now. Sergio Perez, obviously 0.1 seconds behind his teammate. Obviously going to be a lot of pressure put onto him this year to perform and be able to outperform Max Verstappen.
And Fernando Alonso, the big name of the weekend, just about to get going with his lap attempt. This will be his only lap attempt because he will not have time to get back out. So this is going to be the only chance he has to get into pole position. So crucial for Fernando Alonso to get a quick time here. It's
Yes,
so
for
interesting.
sure.
That's why.
This is the moment for Fernando. Let's see what he can do as he is now coming down that main straight, approaching the DRS zone as his wing is now open, passing the start-finish line. Let's see how his lap goes. Making his way down now into turn 1, looking nice and clean. No lockups from him. Just missing that apex, but not so crucial. Turn 2 and 3 looking once again very neat and tidy. DRS wide open as he approaches turn 4. On the brakes into turn 4, looking neat and tidy. Let's see if he stays within track limits. Yes, he does. Making his way now towards that time. 0.1 down on Verstappen right now. Neat and tidy now through turn 8. Making his way into the double left-hander down 9 and 10. Still, once again, very neat and tidy. Will be certainly looking at his middle sector time, as that is where he normally outperforms himself. I see a couple purple mini sectors, so let's see what he puts in.
Alonso approaching the final sector now. He just needs to stay within 0.1 seconds off the step, and he does have the best final sector out of all the drivers so far this weekend. So can he keep it up?
That car looking like it's porpoising just a little bit into turn 13. Sets a personal best middle sector, not a overall best just yet, but let's see what he does in that final sector where he has been so dominant. Neat and tidy, little bit of a bounce. Let's see what he puts him right, waiting for that finish line. And he goes into 4th position with a 130.3. Still very competitive for that Aston Martin. As we see now, Nico Hülkenberg coming to cross the finish line. Where does he put himself?
And very interestingly, of course, Hülkenberg going a little bit slower, but of course, very interesting the fact that the two Mercs are quite well paced already as they're coming into their final section now. Russell leading Hamilton into it. Can Russell get into the sub 131s? It's looking a little bit slow, and we're going to see what he does now.
As
Russell goes over on a 130.3, so behind Alonso. And Hamilton only in 7th. Hamilton's not going to be able to have another go.
Not very impressive from the Mercedes. Certainly not where we expected them to be. As we see, Charles Leclerc is out of the car. He is in the pits. Max Verstappen now going out on an outlap. Will we see then Max Verstappen aborting that next fastest lap time?
Charles Leclerc not looking very impressed with the fact that he's had to get out of his car. He should have got an outlap right now with the rest, but he's not joined them. So Charles Leclerc is out of the session. Max Verstappen, Perez, and Sainz all going to be setting times along with Stroll as well. So we've got to follow them now with these last 2 minutes to go.
Also going to put in an outlap. Nico Hülkenberg's time was deleted for track limits, so he is now back down in 9th position.
So all Ocon has to do to get ahead of Hülkenberg is just finish a lap without going out of the limits, and he will finish in 9th at a minimum.
Interesting to see that from 1st place all the way down to 7th place, they are only separated by 0.4 tenths of a second. So close between the top 7.
So can Max Verstappen improve on his lap time? Can Perez get ahead of Leclerc? Can Stroll put himself all the way up alongside Alonso in that grid there? Or maybe even go further up and see how this track evolved. Maybe the track is even quicker now in the second half.
The question is if Max is even going to bother putting in another fast lap. Does he need to? And use another set of tires?
The track has always been evolving. So I think, whether or not Stroll can try and put in a decent lap, he's had some good attempts at the end of each session. So maybe Stroll can.
Let's see. He is now approaching that final corner. I'm going to jump on board with him and see if he is. Yes, he is. He is going on another hot lap. Wing wide open now, approaching that start-finish line, making his way down to turn 1. Neat and tidy so far. No lockups into turn 1. Once again, very composed into turns 2 and 3.
Perez is also chasing Verstappen down very keenly and also going to try and get some quick times. Let's see the first sector times that they can set.
Max Verstappen putting in not necessarily a impressive first sector, but a lot of green mini sectors there.
Well, I mean, only 0.014 behind, so almost exactly the same as his first sector. So quite quick, and Perez chasing him down as well. Sainz is just on Verstappen's time as well, so Sainz is something to watch as well. He's really close to Verstappen's time at the moment.
Certainly a nail-biting end to the session. Let's see if Carlos Sainz can bring it to the Red Bulls for P1. That's Verstappen, 0.1 seconds up on his middle sector. Certainly not backing off of this lap.
Perez is also chasing him down very keenly. He's getting some very quick times as well. Sainz is also right on Verstappen's tail.
Neat and tidy for Max Verstappen through the last corner. DRS wide open and across the line. Puts in a 29.7. Let's see if Perez can bring himself up into second position, as he does with the 129.7.
That's a very interesting one. Can Sainz beat Perez? He surely will. He surely will.
Let's see what Sainz does.
Not able to get ahead of Leclerc either.
130.1. So close between that top four, only separated by 0.4 seconds.
And that brings us to the end of qualifying 3. My word, what a qualifier. So Red Bull, the only teams to go sub 130 in those qualifying sessions. Verstappen at 129.7, Perez at 129.84, Leclerc 130 on the dot, Sainz 130.1, Alonso 130.3, and Russell 130.34, just behind Alonso, and Hamilton also there at 7. So it's really, really close. And yeah, it's going to be very favorable, the grid, in terms of Verstappen and Perez right at the front of the grid. But Alonso, he knows exactly how to race very well. He likes to make his way up the field. So he will be still one to watch tomorrow. It's still really, really close time. And if he didn't make that slight little mishap on his lap there during that qualifying session, he might want to be higher. So still very intrigued to watch Aston Martin. But Christian Horner looking very happy.
Sure. That Aston Martin could still be very dominant tomorrow during the race. Obviously, we saw in testing as well as FP1, 2, and 3 how Ferrari have a little bit of an issue with degradation over the long run, but are quite good on single lap pace. Maybe that could come into play tomorrow during the race. We might see them just falling back a little bit into the hands of Fernando Alonso.
Yes, and of course, it's always anything to race for, because you do not know what's going to happen tomorrow with regards to safety cars. And or otherwise, you could see the first corner, both Red Bulls take each other out, and suddenly a completely different race will take place. So all to race for tomorrow. And of course, you can join us here on Forever Sports. We will be watching it very keenly with all of you. But nonetheless, Red Bull finished first and second, with Charles Leclerc in that third position. So yeah, a very, very intriguing qualifying session.
Yes, thank you for everyone for joining us in this qualifying session. Certainly been very exciting down to the wire.
Yes, and yeah, thank you very much, guys, for watching. You can be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video as well. And if you guys want to find out how you can watch the Grand Prix live tomorrow, be sure to look in the description of the video, and you can see exactly how you can do that. I've been Mark. Reese has been Reese. And we have just finished qualifying. What a great qualifying session. Alonso is still right there. And what's great to see, and yes, the Red Bulls are still number 1 and 2, but nonetheless, just look how close the times all are. And I do think a couple of those drivers could have just sped up their sessions a little bit. Carlos Sainz's first lap, his earlier lap, he made a big blips on, but if he didn't make that blips, he might well have been ahead of Verstappen. So yeah, just a couple of small driver errors, which basically might have actually resulted in the times being as they are. So I do not think the Red Bulls are that much quicker than everybody else quite as of yet. It's much closer than it was last year already, I think. So
well, certainly this could make it very close throughout the season. Of course, Red Bull, with those penalties, not being able to use as much aerodynamic testing, that could bring the other teams much closer throughout the season. Certainly going to be a very, very interesting season ahead of us.
Yes, indeed. Thank you guys so much for watching. You've been watching Forever Sports and Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports, and we will catch you tomorrow. Thank you guys so much. Goodbye.